Thank you everyone so much for coming to today's Food Talks with Angélique. And we also have a professor of gastronomy with us today, Peter. Angélique, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here and what you'll be doing?
Well, in Holland, we are coming both from Holland. We work often together in gastronomy and all kinds of flavors. I learned it in the beginning from Peter, because he has a restaurant named the Echo Put. It's difficult for you to to tell. Om na te doen? Ja, hartstikke leuk zo. Yes. And so it started with all the be aware of all kind of flavors. And that's why we work already a long time ago together. And now in Holland I'm one of the 2 female master chefs. From about 150 master chefs. I think I go a little bit here because the sound is not so good. Can you hear me good like this? Okay, great. So in Holland I'm one of the 2 female master chefs. Well, that's quite unique. I hope in the United States there are a lot of more female chefs. Well, what I'm doing is the art of creative thinking in flavor, and flavor matching and flavor combinations. So I tell you a little bit of story about culinary creativity, and then we're going to make a flavor painting with about 20 components. So you can experience all kinds of flavor pairing, flavor matches, which you maybe think, oh, I couldn't imagine that combination has a, whatever, made in heaven. So that's what I'm doing. Together with Peter will explain why some combinations have a special effect in your mouth. And but before we are doing that, maybe Peter wants to tell a little bit about himself, and then we start with the presentation afterwards. Yeah?
Okay, thank you. She already mentioned a lot. I have my own hotel and restaurant. I developed a whole flavor theory. I think flavor is something that is really tangible, that we can measure. And I've got a PhD, I obtained a PhD in flavor classification. So it's the only classification model on flavor in the world. And it really works. So we've found a way to really describe flavor in objective terms. So what Angélique is doing with creativity actually is based on a very factual thing. So things that Googlers must like, because there is real algorithm, there is a real model, there is real thinking, objective thinking behind it. So what she is doing is showing a beautiful painting. She's going to create a beautiful painting right here. And then in the meantime, I will discuss a little bit on the objective side of it. So these are the ground rules of flavor composition, really. So that's what we want to show.
Okay. So first I'm going to start with a little bit of presentation about creative thinking, and not about dreamstorming, but about not about brainstorming, but about dreamstorming. And then I'm going to make the painting, and afterwards we do a little bit of culinary mind mapping, so you'll be able to can make your own flavor combination in a couple of minutes. So who loves to cook? Okay, well, I'm so happy. That's the reason why you're here, I think. Huh? Okay, let's start. For me, the sky is the limit, and the story about creative thinking is very important before you go in the flavor matching, because a lot of times we say, okay, maybe it's not possible, or we see a lot of issues on the road, maybe it's too expensive, and I think it takes too long time, and we have all kind of reasons to do something. Now, don't let do it. Eh? So, for me, the sky is the limit, and in thinking is the creation, in doing is the feeling, and in making is the learning. And I want to tell you a little bit of story. What happens to me already 14 years ago. I saw a hot air balloon, and I was in my car, and I was dreaming a little bit, and a jazzy music on the background. And I think, hey, Eureka! The balloon is actually a hot air oven, a very big hot air oven. Do you have had an experience in a hot air balloon? Yes? Okay, you've once been in a hot air balloon? Yeah? Everybody almost. Oh, that sounds great. So imagine the balloon is a hot air oven. So what will happen when you put something in it, like a sea bass or a happy chicken or some mussels or some paprikas? Will it be cooked? Well, I can say to myself at the same moment, no, I think it's too dangerous, or maybe somebody else did it already. But I stay in my dream and my fantasy. So I think, oh, when it's possible, then we can make a restaurant with the most wonderful view you can imagine. Around small villages and small rivers. You go low and you go high, so you have the restaurant which is wonderful. And so I keep on dreaming, and then I called a guy from a company. I said, hey, can I ask you something? Is it possible to go once with you with a balloon and put something in it? They say, it was a little bit quiet at that moment. He say, yes, come to my company and we go together in the air and let's try it. So I had all small bags with the small chickens and a sea bass, and then they filled the balloon with the cold air, and then we walked in the balloon and we put all the small bags in the side of the balloon, and then we go up, and then we say already, do you smell already something? That's too big to smell something. And then after it, the idea grows. That's what happened. You get used to the idea, and then the idea getting normal, and then you want more. So I say, we can go with one balloon, but what will happen when we put 3 balloons together? And we have 50 persons in 3 balloons, and we go up about 1.5 kilometers. I don't know how many feet it is, but it's high. And we do a 3-course menu in the air. They say, well, sounds wonderful. And then we get more used to the idea, and then we say, what we do, we put 2 chefs on the top of the balloon, and they go abseiling on the outside and give me the main course. Yes, that would be wonderful. So we are all so exciting. We are really exciting, saying, whoa, that would be wonderful. And then we jumped out of the balloon to make the dessert in the meadow before the balloons are landed. Sounds wonderful, eh? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's happened? No, it's a good attitude. That's great. Yeah. It's Google. Yeah. So, for me, a brainstorm is not anymore a brainstorm. For me, it's a dreamstorm. It's like a hyper creativity. And you have to be sometimes hyper creative to be different, or to reach some things you will never thought you could reach. And now, Lucas is gonna show the movie. Yeah. Of the 3 balloons connected with 50 persons, 1.5 kilometers high, a 3-course menu on 1.5 hour. So it's that's me, but it's a little bit younger, but okay. So these are the 2 chefs who are going on the top of the balloon. It was the biggest balloon of Europe at that time for 24 persons. 3 balloons connected. And we go up. This is a very short movie. And this is about 1.5 kilometers high. He's on top of the balloon. And the temperature in the balloon is about 90 degrees Celsius. So you have to need a converter to put it in. Okay, so he's. You can imagine 2 chefs on the top of the balloon. When the balloon is already half filled, they go up, and there is on the top there's a small opening. They can check how my food is. And this is the system from the one balloon to the other balloon. So we had 1 kitchen balloon and 2 restaurant balloons. In the 1 kitchen balloon, everything was cooked, and then it go it's go down with a pulley system, and then it goes to the other balloons where there was a chef to prepare it for the guests. So here is for a 3-course menu for 50 persons. And then he had to move on the top of the balloon because it was very hot, you know. Because when he was standing still, it was so he had to move around. So this is a first dish. This is a dorade with vinaigrette and cucumber. It's wonderful. Eh? It was so high. And now he's going upscaling with the main course on the outside. And he say, "Oh my God, it was so hot upstairs there. It was so warm." It was the second guy. Yeah. And then after the main course, it was chicken stuffed with duck, and we served it with some mushrooms and some green asparagus. So then they disconnect the 3 balloons, and you see each balloon is going, and then they jump out. They jump out to prepare the dessert. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Lucas. Okay, for me, this is the example of believing in every idea you have, in every dream. And go on, take action. Because when I did say to that idea from, it might be too dangerous, or I call an insurance company and they say, oh, you have to insure yourself. Well, what will happen when the balloon will crash? Well, so it's not necessary to insure yourself, you know. Yeah. But for the other guests also not. Okay, so this is me in my kitchen. This is my view from the kitchen with a lobster salad. Nice view, eh? This is the kitchen. It looks if the balloon is putting there in the Alps, but this is actually a picture made from another balloon. It was in Austria, and we made a trip of 4 hours, and I could make I made 12 dishes above the Alps. It was really exciting. This is above the clouds. So, you know, the sun is shining above the clouds, eh? And then you go through the clouds, and then it's very quiet, and then you eat your lobster there. So, for me, everything I do is coming out of my heart. And I believe in that already a long time ago. I was a chef with a Michelin star in the restaurant. And then I thought, okay, do I want to do this my whole life? Oh, yes, maybe. But not only in a restaurant. So my dream was to tell more about flavors and to travel and to do crazy things. And to give experience to people. But not an experience because it's like a marketing, but experience which is real. An authentic experience. And for me, is that experience is economy. But only when it's a meaningful experience. So these are the most mentioned idea killers. It might work in other places, but not here. And since this is the worst one, since how you say it? Since when you are the experts, you know, when you say that to someone, they say, "Oh, next time I don't want to mention my idea." Huh? So you are familiar with this, with the idea killers, and the opposite of the idea killers are the idea boosters. Huh? Just do it and go experiment. So don't shoot. You don't have a license to kill ideas. This is my message always in the kitchen. So you have to try a lot of things. Also, everybody has a flavor reference and a flavor memory from your childhood, from the soup your grandma made or the stew. And when you love food, it's in your memory. And therefore, it's important to try a lot of things so you can make it even bigger. Well, now, it's about temptation. And I want to tell you about a carrot. Just a simple carrot. And if I look to the carrot, I think, oh, you're just a carrot. You see the rabbit, he's laughing to the carrot because we are only using the carrot as a salad or in the soup or made a stew as we do in Holland. But the challenge is to make a carrot like a golden carrot, yeah, you know, like gold, more to give it much more value. And when I was a chef in a restaurant, and I have to make a new menu card. It was until 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the night, and I was thinking, oh, I had a dish, but sometimes I miss that one little accent, which a dish can make very special, timeless. You know, so sometimes you're in a restaurant, you say, this is very nice, and another time you say, this is wonderful. You will never forget that flavor. Do you have the experience? Sometimes it's okay, and the other time you say, oh, I wish I could go back to that restaurant and experience it again. That's what I mean. As a chef, I think it's important that you create dishes that guests will remember, and they will come back for. So, I was always thinking, oh, sometimes you have it at a split second. You say, oh, okay, I miss maybe a little bit of lemon, or maybe a little bit star anise, or maybe some seaweed, whatever. But when you make it transparent, oh, sorry, to go back. When you make when you say I'm missing something, and you make inspiration transparent, a whole world of possibilities and flavors is open. But one logical thing is most people can only remember 7 things from the short memory. So when I say to you carrot, just think of a carrot. Which are the best flavor friends of a carrot? Just name some. What do you eat? Ginger, thank you. Come on. Lemon, thank you. Cinnamon, yes, great. It's a great match, cinnamon and carrots. Garlic, yeah, okay. We are already here with about 30 people with 4 things. Okay. Cumin. Oh, what did you say? Almonds, yeah. More. Laurel, yeah. Great, you prepare it, huh? Okay. Mint, yes. So, you know what is happening now? You have to think, oh, and just the things we know with matches with a carrot are in the front, because maybe you just tasted, or you had just a salad with it, but then you have to search for more. And that's a good thing to know in creativity. That's when you can just remember 7 things. So when you say, where is the inspiration coming from? It's for chefs, a lot of time memories from dishes you already eat, or from your family, or restaurants, markets, cookbooks, magazines, internet, television. But for a chef, it's very important to let you get inspired by the season. You take the best carrot there is, a wonderful carrot. I go in my mind traveling to the sea. I think, oh, what can the sea offer me in this season? Maybe a nice squid, or maybe some anchovies, or so I'm looking for flavors which I think, oh, the carrot will be happy from that. So if you are a carrot, what makes you happy? Yeah, that's the way a chef thinks. I'm traveling in my mind to land or to fashion. Fashion is a big inspiration for matching flavors and colors. So later on, I will match the carrot with a very concentrated tomato puree. And then you see that colors can be inspired just to look around you to the fashion or art. It's not only the colors in art, but it's also when you look at this painting, oh, what will this painting tell you? You see a lot of deep, you see a lot of colors. It are warm colors and cold colors. And then if you take a look for a couple of minutes, then you get some emotion. And when you trust on that emotion, you can use it in your flavor combinations. Well, so now again, you love to cook. And then we think again of the carrots. What can I do with the carrots? These are preparations. These are all kind of things I cannot remember as a chef. I can also remember 7, maybe 10. But when I say, oh, okay, it's a good idea to braise a carrot, or to ferment it, or to put it on a barbecue, or I marinate it, or deep fry it, or make it in a papillote, you know, in a foil with some garlic and oil and rosemary, or I inject it. Oh yeah, of course, you know, you can inject the carrots. So when I have a needle, I can put it in, and or with a spuit.
Siphon.
Yeah, and then get all flavors in to inject it, and then put it in the oven, and then all the aromas are going between the carrots. Or I can smoke it. So there's a lot more possible when you make the inspiration visible. And these are just word clouds. So you know word clouds, but word clouds on the internet. For me, a word cloud is a lot of inspiration for the techniques. These are preparations, techniques. I can make a bavarois from or a cream from a carrot, or I can make an ice cream, or a soup, or a syrup. I can make a spring roll, an espuma, flan. It's so much I can do to make this carrot, to give this carrot so much more value. Another thing is I can travel in my mind to another culture. So this is Morocco, and when you travel and you go to the market, who's going to the market? Everybody? Okay. And then you see all the flavors and the spices and the herbs and the fruits and the veggies. And then when you close your eyes and you go with the carrots, you go to the market in Marrakesh and you say, oh, okay, I saw the star anise and I saw the lemon and I saw the grapefruits and the oranges. I see so many things. That's what you can do in your imagination. But sometimes we say, oh, I'm a little bit crazy, we laugh about it. But it's really, it brings you a lot of ideas to travel in your mind to countries where you've been, countries which you have inspired. Like when we think of a carrot and we want to combine it with Chinese ingredients, where do you think of? Chinese kitchen? Yeah. Soy sauce, oyster sauce, rice wine, rice vinegar. More Chinese? You're from China?
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Garlic?
Garlic? Yeah. Chinese kitchen. Come on, Chinese kitchen. Yeah. Cinnamon, also, yeah. Anise, yeah. Yeah, well, We go on. Now we go to Italy. Yeah, who has been in Italy? Okay, great. So when we think on a carrot and an Italian kitchen, where do you think of? Italian kitchen, maybe close by in your flavor memory? Italian kitchen, come on. Red wine. Red wine. Red wine. Think of basil, tomatoes. Yes. Olive oil. Come on, you can do it. Parmesan cheese, prosciutto, porcini. Think of what fish you know from the Italian kitchen you have often on the pizza. Or oregano, anchovies. So, parmesan, prosciutto, anchovies, sardines. It's all Italian kitchen, Italian cuisine. What will happen when you produce the carrots with all of these ingredients? You get a different carrot. Yeah? So, that's a little bit my message. And for the painting, this is the painting in my head. From all the traveling I did from all the countries, think, oh, I have the carrot and the tomato, and I have the ginger, the seaweed, I have the Vaudevant spices, saffron, I have fennel seeds, I have the dill, and I have even the coffee beans. When you crunch coffee beans, you have a lot of flavor. Well, what will happen when you make a carrot cake and put some coffee flavor in it? Okay. So this has happened in my head as a chef. And these are the dishes then I had made. It's a yogurt ice cream with roasted orange paprika, with mango and chips of carrots. Chips of carrot, but not in deep fry, but dried in the oven by 70 degrees. This is the inspiration from Marrakesh with the carrot salad with lentils, with a reduction of orange juice and some ras el hanout. You know ras el hanout? The best spice mix from the Spice Man there. And some kikkererwten, peas. Chickpeas cream. Yeah. And some mint. So this is just a combination in my inspiration from Marrakesh. Okay, this is a ceviche with quinoa and with coriander. This is the Chinese inspiration. This is with tuna and a roll with a very thin carrot with bites, seaweed, and I made a dressing from reduction of orange juice, tempura of carrots. And this is very important. In this dish, you have from one carrot, you have 4 preparations. So the whole carrot was in the oven, and then all the juices in the carrot are caramelizing. And then I cut it, and it didn't touch any water, so it's full of flavor. Then I made around the carrot, it's a marinated carrot julienne. Then I made a mousseline of the rest of the carrots with some olive oil and some lemon juice, because lemon is bringing all the flavor more intensified, more alive. And then a crunch. So when you think of these flavors, you have a sweet of the carrots, you have a smooth mouthfeel of the cream, you have a balance of the sweet and sour from the marination, the marinated carrots, and you have a crunch. So this is what you can do with one ingredient, one veggie, to seduce it. These are all veggies marinated and rolled up. And this is the same. Okay. Well, before I'm going to make the painting, this is a flavor graphic. You can make a flavor graphic yourself. You think, oh, I choose an onion in this case. Oh, which spice I do like, and which spices I can match with an onion. And what can I do with the onion? we cannot remember this. So when you draw it and make your own word cloud or a mind map, a whole world is going open. Yeah, okay, sorry, next one. Yeah, okay. This is the last sheet before I'm gonna make the painting. When we talk about the success factors, I'm gonna ask Peter here. You go stand here, it's a little bit better for... Peter will tell more about the success factors because it will help you every time when you go visit a restaurant, eat a dish, or you make your own dish. Because there are a couple of, it's not rules, but a couple of, how do you say it?
There are rules.
Some
Composition,
rules.
rules of composition.
Rules of composition. And when you hear this, you will never forget it because it will make every visit to a restaurant and every dish you made, it will be made different. Yeah, okay.
So the thing is, Angélique is saying, you need imagination. With imagination, you get all these wonderful combination of things. And then there is also kind of a theory. So you need a kind of a theory to bring it all together. And that's what this slide shows is for one, and it's because it's very special. Umami is of course, it's called one of the basic flavors. Umami is a very rich family of flavors. One of the culinary success factors is that umami should be there. So if a dish lacks umami, there is something missing. This is what Angélique is saying. So knowing about umami is very important. This is the other important side of it. Knowing about what every component does in a dish. So we think that flavor is basically about mouthfeel. And in mouthfeel there are three different forces. One force we call contracting. It's everything that has everything to do with salt, with acidity, with sour, things that contract in your mouth. That's why we chose the word contracting. Another substance is called, another direction, another force is called a coating. And this is about all the fats and all the sugars and everything that really leaves a layer behind your mouth. And then there is another vector, another force that's called drying or dry. Which is basically the crunch or everything that has a texture, things that you can chew on, things that you can bite on, things like that. So these are different forces, and this is basically the basic composition of every flavor throughout the world. When I was in Beijing, I gave a master class in Beijing, and then all these Chinese people exactly understood what I was talking about within their cultural frame of flavor. So it's very important, I think, to realize the flavor has a real structure, and I call them vectors, and these are real vectors with forces behind them. Of course, we don't have a measure for these forces. That's what we need to develop. It would be wonderful to have a scale, but we don't have these scales yet. But I think these skills will be developed. Smart people at Google should be able to do that for sure, but this could be the basic of any algorithm of flavor. So now we're going to go back to practice in building the painting.
Yeah.
So, Angélique.
Okay.
So I will tell every time if it's coating, crunch, or drying, or whatever. So that's what I will do.
So this is the carrot. Not the carrot, sorry. This is the pumpkin and the sweet potato in the oven with a lot of bay leaf and garlic. Roasting. And then I puree it. And that's a little bit, it's not sweet, but it's coating, but it's full of flavor with a little white wine vinegar to lift it up. Excuse me. And this will be kind of the basic for the paint. Oops. Okay.
So coating, right?
I'm gonna ask some chefs to help me.
You're going to be able to taste everything, so you will see that there is a bit of acidity in it, because otherwise it would be too coating. So the acidity works as a countervailing power within the coating. So within the puree.
Yeah, it's not working very well.
That's what composition is about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we do some It's a little bit thinner because I made it this morning. So, okay, I do it a little bit different now. If you stay here, we give you some other. So you put big dots. Take your time. Take a nice dot like this, and then hop. Yeah. Okay. Just on every plate, some dots. Okay. Okay. Now I have. This is a curd of kefir yogurt. I made a curd of with some miso. And miso is from soybean paste. And fermented soybean paste. And it's every Japanese family has its own miso. So it's a little bit salty. And it's a very nice combination together with the curd. Ik ga je even laten proeven. Yeah, great.
Again, a coating substance, right? Yeah. If you taste it, you will find the acidity, so that balances away a bit of the richness of the coating.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the balance you find within the substance.
So just put it like this, nice dots, like this, and then 5, and follow the line. Yeah. And this is some curd too, but this is mixed with saffron to make it some more mystics. Let me see. I need a small.
We did work on culinary success factors. For instance, at Google in London, in Paris, in Zurich, and Dublin, we worked with Google chefs. We developed dishes based on the culinary success factors. Then they were served at Google offices for Googlers. And then we asked just which one of 3 alternatives do you like best? And then every time you find that the ones that have the culinary success factors are found to be, without any information, they are found to be just naturally the best. It's very interesting to have a reevaluation of these culinary success factors. And presentation is a very important one. So the way things look, the presentation of a dish, the name you give a dish, etc., is all a part of flavor.
A little bit smaller.
It's often forgotten. People think that flavor is sweet, sour, bitter, etc., but it's much, much, much more. You need to take everything into account to really understand what flavor is about. So the name, presentation, color is an important aspect of it. Balance is an important aspect. Smell is an important aspect. Umami is one. And a very identifiable flavors as well. So, and then you need a balance in mouthfeel, differences in mouthfeel.
Watch out with.
We're going to work on that. These are all, let's say, the coating substances.
So you take
but you will find that we need more to make a nice balance and a nice dish, or a canvas, or a painting.
Yeah. Then we have the tomato. And tomato with a mix together with the sweetness of the sweet potato and pumpkin.
Tomato is a very special ingredient because there are many flavors within a tomato. If you have a, let's say, early harvested tomato or an unripe type, then the acidity and the tartness will be there. But when you have a very rich tomato, which is harvested late, then of course it will be much sweeter, much richer. So it's very important to look at what type of tomato you have for the effect that you want to use. If you want to have something sweet, then you need a riper type of tomato and a sweeter one than if you just want the tartness or the acidity.
Okay, then we have a very wonderful ingredient you will smell. It's a vin du vin. It's a fermented spices and veggies from the Indian kitchen, like fenugreek, like onion, garlic, curry leaves, and it's very strong. So I heat it until 40 degrees Celsius, mix it with sunflower and olive oil, and it will be connecting because it's not spicy, but it's full of flavor.
Because a part of the second factor that I mentioned, the smell of our dish is very important. By using an oil like this, you have a very rich flavor component, and you will notice that within seconds, everything will smell like the Vin here. So it's an important aspect.
This one. To put your slow.
I already have it in my nose. You have it?
It's a little bit dirty.
Starts.
Okay, then for the crunch, a juicy crunch, we use the leaves of the endive. And you can use it later, like a kind of a spoon. And then with the endive, you pick up the creams, like a crunch. We need a crunch, Peter, huh?
This is a balance.
Yep.
A mouthfeel needs to be interesting. So you need crunches, you need bites, you need to do things that crack, things that break. You need every kind of crunch in your mouth to make things interesting.
Nice,
so if you only have the creamy substances, it will be kind of boring. Now we're going to add different types of mouthfeel. So here you have the leaf that breaks and makes a high-pitched sound, which is much more like crispy. They're going to be nuts, they're going to be crisps, and they're all different mouthfeels that really help to make a flavor in balance.
Okay. Do you already smell? Yeah. Okay. Because say the oxygen is coming a little bit to the flavors. And
imagine that this oil wouldn't be there. The dish would be less interesting, right? It's the smell that does that.
Okay. Now we have a green oil, not just a green oil. It is made from flat parsley and tarragon. Tarragon has a lot of anise flavor, and often when you make an oil, herb oil, it's gonna color it in some brown greens color, and then we blanch it first, just in water without salt, and put it out at the same time. Make it cold very quickly, squeeze out all the water, and then we mix it with 40 degrees Celsius oil until it's like this. And it's the chlorophyll, which makes the oil much more intensive than you do it with it when it's raw. Yeah? Okay.
Look at what the color does on the painting.
Oops.
Part of presentation.
So, and when you are gonna eat this later on, you have to mix a lot of things, but it will happen at the same time because everything is going to connect.
The tarragon and the parsley are fresh flavors, and they are often confounded with sour. It's very important to distinguish freshness from sourness. Freshness and sourness do go together once in a while, but in an oil like this, it's just the freshness you have without the sourness. So that really doesn't influence the mouthfeel on the contracting side. It adds to coating, but also gives freshness.
Okay, so now we were talking about the carrots, and this is the purple carrot. For me, this is the example how to was it seduce or temptate? Seduce.
Yeah.
How to seduce a carrot? Well, it's not that difficult. You just put it in the oven for a long time with a lot of bay leaf. I think this carrot had about 6 bay leaves crushed, so a lot of flavor can come out of the bay leaf. A lot of garlic. Then we first blanch it so that the plant cells can can
Open.
open, and then all the sweet juices can caramelize, and it's in the oven on 160 degrees Celsius. Sorry, next time I will have it with Fahrenheit in my head. And then roast, and it's gonna flavor like drop, yeah.
Licorice.
Licorice. You know licorice? In Holland we are fond of licorice. So this carrot is like licorice, just a carrot, with 3 ingredients. And I did it with just a normal orange carrot. And it's quite different. It's more caramelized and it's less intensive than the purple one. So I have for everyone, I have 1 piece. Yes? So if you like it, just please take 1 piece. Otherwise, I will have enough. And we have a whole carrot to combine it with all the other flavors on the dish. So, what is nice to
Have a carrot and pass it through.
put the
I think one of the things in gastronomy that people forget a lot is to cook vegetables. Vegetables are a lot of times they are eaten raw, and if you eat them raw, they are raw. And there are a lot more flavor to find in carrots or in whatever vegetable when you add temperature. And often here as well, when I'm here, I'm often surprised all the things that are eaten raw here. Kale and sprouts and much of these things are much better when they've been cooked. And then you can eat them, of course, cold if you want. But cooking vegetables and lower temperatures, getting these flavors out is a very important side of the flavor story of vegetables.
This is a freshly made tomato puree from tomatoes with onions, and cooked, reduced all the water until it's thick, and then we put it in the blender, and then you have your own fresh puree from good ripened tomatoes. And this is the color blocking you see in the fashion. When you have an orange shirt with a red trouser, you know, whoa. So, well, in flavor it's the same. The carrot is very sweet, and the tomato is a little bit of acid, so it will give much more life to all the flavors. Yeah. It's often when you miss something in a dish, then start with adding a little bit, maybe some caper or a little bit sour tomato puree or.
Acidity is often forgotten. Acidity is one of the most forgotten parts of a dish, including bitter. Bitter and acidity are thought that the people don't like those things and they're kept away. But for depth and for having great dishes, you need a good addition of some acidity and some bitterness.
Okay.
Not too much, but a bit. It's like salt. It's good to add a bit, but not too much.
Let's do the olives. Fresh olives, dried olives. Okay, we have the Kalamata olives, the fresh ones. You know them? When you chew, much more flavors will come to you when you are aware of what you're eating. But then see the difference. Flavor the difference of dried Kalamata olives. We put them both on the painting so we can experiment what is happening when you put out all the liquids. It's very strange flavor. I don't think you've ever flavored like this an olive. It's so intense. It's a little bit bitter, just a little bit, and a little bit more salty. Yeah. Okay, what we will do is you put just a little bit so here and there, yeah, And these ones we put a little bit together so it's in the same area, so you can taste both. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what I have. We do the same with the capers. We have the fresh capers, you all know them. Yeah? And when you dry the fresh capers in the oven at 70 degrees Celsius, so don't be in a hurry. Yeah? The oven is doing the job, and you dry it, you get a crunchy, acid ingredient. It's very nice. It's a very nice flavor. We put it next to each other again so you can flavor the difference. Yeah. Okay.
Of course, you understand what you're doing with drying things in the oven. You intensify flavors, and in intensifying your flavors, you're also changing flavors. So you're reducing the sharpness of the raw onion. The raw caper is a very sharp acidity,
so they can see the difference.
and if you taste the dried one, it's much more on the salty side. So the whole profile of the caper is changing by, again, adding temperature. And if you think that's a lot of work, let the oven do the work. You can do your own thing while the oven is working. You don't have to stand next to it, you don't have to help it, you don't have to look at it. It just works by itself.
Okay, what we have more? Yeah, we have the furikake. It's from the Japanese kitchen. It's a topping usually used for rice. And I made it myself. It's from seaweed, roasted sesame seed, white ones, the black ones, and wasabi flavored ones with amaranth. You know, I heat it in the, puffed it in the pan. Dried capers are also in it. And it's a really nice crunchy mix. I'm gonna put it on the side of the curd with the miso, because they're a little bit French. Yeah? And then you take a little bit endive with the miso curd and then with the furikake, and you have a wonderful combination.
Leave that to your assistants.
Yeah, okay. So we are almost there.
Nuts.
Yeah,
Yes.
nuts. Some things I will leave here because it's getting a little bit too busy on the. We do first we do the crunch. We have a cracker. I made it from tapioca flour with saffron and water. Spread it out, dry it, and then I deep fry it. And the crunch is important in a dish. Without a crunch, a dish can be very, sometimes boring even. The crunch we put on the saffron cream.
Even door, Angélique.
Yeah. Just put it down, don't put it in. Okay, and we have the same with seaweed cracker, also made from tapioca and with crunched seaweed. We put it on the miso, not everywhere, but here and there. Then we have more. We have the walnuts, just plain walnuts. It's different crunch than endive, or then the saffron crackers. And I put that crunch also with the curd.
These are all elements that belong to the drying components on in the plate. But evidently the nuts are different in mouthfeel than the crispness of the saffron and the seaweed. And then we have that one.
This is a very important one. You know the toasty? You know toasty? You know that? The bread with the cheese and the ham, and then the cheese is coming on the outside of the bread. Yeah? You know that? And then you get that smell from the caramelized cheese. Well, this is the crunchy part of the rijntjes. What is rijntjes?
Besides.
Besides of the toasty. Yes? This is wonderful. You only need this when you flavor it with the sweet potato and the tomato, and then you have all the Italian umami flavors you can imagine. Huh, Peter?
Yeah, you didn't mention it's Parmesan, but probably everybody knows it's Parmesan. And together with tomato, of course, it's a wonderful...
yeah, wat zei ik dan?
Dat Parmesan is, dat kunnen we niet zeggen.
Oh ja, Parmesan.
Geef maar door, dan kunnen anderen doen.
Yeah. Just a couple, and then the rest we do separate. Just a couple on the... Yeah, on the under. Yeah. Okay, we're almost there. Let me see. We have... this is very rich. These are algae crackers. Not algae from the television, but algae from the sea. Yeah? Very thin, very strong. Don't eat it at the beginning, because it stays very long in your mouth. Okay, can you put... yeah. Okay. Let's see one thing as a chef, because there's the camera and I have a very awful dot here. Yes, you see? So. Okay, then we leave this a little bit separate. I started with the carrot, and I will almost end with the carrot. But first, when we talk about no waste, you can make powder from every ingredient you can imagine. So when you have leftovers from veggies, just dry them in the oven and then put it in the coffee bean machine, the small thing, you know them here, like a very quick one. Grinder, yes, and then you can make a wonderful powder. So, I put some powder. See if everybody's ready. Just to finish.
That's awesome.
You end up with green hair. Angélique gaat helemaal die kant op.
Ja, dat is often, hè? Okay. Okay, now I have to do hulky hands. With, wait, yeah. Yeah. So, and then we end where we started with the carrot. You see what is happening. Just the algae powder is mixing with the carrot. Nice, huh? Yeah, that's what's happening. The carrot powder I made from when you juice the carrots in the juicer. Then in the container, the pulp is remaining. just dry the pulp and you have a wonderful carrot powder, which you can use in a patisserie or in dough or in dressings. Okay, the other side. And it actually has a lot of flavor. Okay.
After green hair, now you have orange hair.
Okay,
far
okay,
it is
I forgot one thing. I have to sign.
Looks
I have
good
to
in
sign. I have to sign the painting. Yes? So I say, go on, Google. Hopla. So, it's for you. I would like to invite you to come around the painting and just experience all the combinations. So, bon appetit!